more. So about a 12. Looks like it's going to be an appropriate starting place.
Okay.
I could guarantee that's probably going to go up a little bit higher because it wasn't even much of one.
Yeah.
And the big thing with a lot of the pitties and stuff is because their necks are so muscular in certain areas, the response is more visual than it is actually motivating to them, right? So the way the e-collar works is it's like a muscle stimulator, right? So like a TENS unit, if you ever had physical therapy, the muscle itself will actually pulse. But just because it's visually pulsing doesn't mean he really cares about it. So prime example, when we came in and you cracked at him for breaking place, like I'm sure had he not been moving around, you would have seen the muscle pulse there, but he didn't care about it. You know what I mean? Like that correction meant absolutely nothing to him in that particular situation. So because of that, we need to be conscious of the fact that just because we see something doesn't necessarily mean that he cares about it in that situation. So we're gonna start low. We'll work this for a little bit as I kind of figure out how he's gonna do with things, and then from there we'll go up as we need to. So we have to start with the clarity. I need to make sure I'm being as clear as possible about what it is that I want him to do. From there I can be more motivating. Once I know that I've been really clear, I've showed him that picture enough times where he should have a good enough understanding of it. The other thing to keep in mind here is the way that we're teaching the healing in this particular situation is going to be less of a tight heel. I think you were doing it right hand side.
Yeah.
It's going to be less of a tight right hand side here and more we want him following us. So I don't care left side, right side, behind us, anything like that. I need him following, and not because it's a position, not because we're saying this particular spot right there is where you need to be. It's a mindset, right? So the following is the mindset of being 100% tuned in to us in this particular situation. In addition to that, healing and teaching a tight heel in certain situations tends to, with certain reactive dogs, make things a little bit worse. So with him, we've come to the realization that it's not necessarily the dog that's creating the arousal and creating the reaction, because we know he's social. He may be pushy, but he's social. Right? So that means that the leash and the barriers and the frustration, right? The restraint is what's creating the issues here in this particular situation. So because of that, restraint can be both physical and mental or emotional, right? So physical in the sense of I'm holding you back from getting to this person over here, or emotional, you have to stay right here. You can't move from this position. That's still a really, really restraining position for them in certain situations, right? So because of that, I want to make sure that this leash, which I know is what the problem is in this situation, is just there, right? It's not really like we're not constantly like stay here, stay here, stay here. It's just there, right? He's consciously making that decision to stay in position. So with that being said, the first drill we're going to do here, and I'm sure you've seen me post about this